Good afternoon. This is my stakeholder presentation for my pilot study, and one of my stakeholders is out sick today with a sick child, but fortunately the other stakeholder is here, and that's Ms. Laurie Grove. She's the media specialist here at my school, and Ms. Grove, say hello.
Hello, hello.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. The topic for my pilot study is Perceived Principals' Leadership Behaviors Impact on Student Achievement. And this is sort of a run-up for my dissertation. Background. Because the principal leads a team of teachers to positively impact student academic achievement and growth, the principal's behavior plays a vital role in student and school success. As you know, the role of a principal has changed drastically over the past half century. At one time, a principal was more of a manager or a directive giver. Now they're supposed to be seen as an instructional leader. But the principal still wears many, many hats. To accomplish this goal, principals must possess and exercise effective leadership skills, those that we're naturally born with and those that we can hopefully gather throughout the years and our experiences. The invitational leadership theory, that's ILT, contends that shared leadership and authority is based on collaboration, providing organizations, that is schools, to achieve a more harmonious sense of team and belonging. Throughout my research with the Lit Review and just looking at some of the theories, I found this leadership theory, and it really mirrors me. I feel like well, you work with me every day. I don't sit here and tell y'all what to do. I have a goal of what we should do, but then I include everybody to create that action plan, because we're going to be the ones to make it happen.
Right.
So, my research question for this pilot study: do principals from high student achievement, as measured by 3rd and 5th grade reading and math CRCT score schools, exhibit more significant behavior in tolerance and freedom than principals of low-performing schools? And tolerance and freedom, we can just closely define as non-micromanagerial. You have a challenge, and the principal gives you the authority and the trust and professionalism to get the job done, with providing resources or whatever else that teacher would need to be successful, and the students as well. Methodology for this study. It's an exploratory design mixed methods, and we're going to look at the one behavior, tolerance and freedom, exhibited by the principal, to see if it has an impact on teachers and on student achievement in reading and math. We're going to look at the 2013 CRCT math and reading scores for grades 3 through 5 in 2 public elementary schools here in Richmond County. And based the low performing and the high performing on that CRCT score over an average of years. Pre-existing questionnaire was chosen, the LBDQ, that's the Leadership Behavior Description Questionnaire. This originated post-World War II, and it was in the private sector and in the military to decide or to sort of see what natural leadership qualities existed in certain pools of workers, and then use them to be promoted into leadership roles in companies or in the military. In the past 20 years, there have been some studies and dissertations where LBDQ was used in an educational setting. Tolerance and freedom portion of the questionnaire only has 10 questions and only 5 possible responses. And I gave you a copy of that earlier.
Right.
The respondents will be asked to think about how frequently their principal engaged in the behavior described by the item and indicate their response. They had to circle A, B, C, D, or E, always, never, often, that type of thing. The surveys were administered by me at the school at a predetermined faculty meeting. It took maybe 10 minutes at the beginning of the faculty meeting. Of course, the principal stepped out of the room down the hall. There were 2 steps in the data analysis: the Cronbach's Alpha Reliability Index, and then the t-test. You remember those t-tests, don't you, Miss?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yes, I ran one of those with the data. Here are the results. The survey return rate was 100%, and the Cronbach's Alpha, that was that inter-reliability, for school A and B was above 0.9. And through my research with this test, if the data came out with a 0.7 or higher, there was a high internal consistency. So based on that information, my Cronbach's alpha was pretty good, the alpha number.
Right.
All right, with the t-test, I went ahead and listed both of School A and B's information when we ran that. School A had 21 participants, School B had 17, and that's a small sample, so that was concerned that the numbers may be skewed a little bit. But what I did find out is, as I manipulated the data and moved into an Excel spreadsheet from the surveys, I ranked the responses from 1 to 5 with the survey results, with 1 being very often or the best, and 5 being the least. So what ended up happening with my T number, it became negative. It was negative 0.4 something. So I had to sort of look at it in the opposite direction of what we normally look at with our t-test. But what we did find, the mean you see for both of those, we have the high numbers and the low numbers, and the standard deviation with 8.56. So do you have any questions over that?
No.
You just finished your graduate degree, so you're used to
Oh, yeah.
that stuff. All right. So this is what I found out after I looked at all of that stuff. Teachers perceived that the principal at the higher performing school exhibited more tolerance and freedom compared to the teacher at the low performing school. As I looked at some of the data, that just sort of came about. And with the average of the CRCT scores to determine which schools were high performing and low performing, the high performing school had an average of 81% over a 3-year time period with CRCT scores, with students who met or exceeded, and then the low-performing school had 71% average in those areas for those same 3 years, with met and exceeded. All right, so based on the data, how I looked at it through those 2 tests and just doing some other analyzation in the Excel spreadsheet, we're finding some averages and things like that, it seems that based on the data, there seems to be a correlation between the principal's behavior and student achievement data on CRCT. Here are my conclusions and recommendations. All right, all the leadership behavior should not be the only factor. There's a typo, I apologize, to consider. According to the data in this study, leadership behavior does correlate to teacher and student achievement on standardized tests. The outcome of teacher and student performance should account for the leader's years of experience and tenure at the current school. As I began looking at everything in the study, these principals had only served in their schools for the past right at 2-year mark. So that 3rd year, when I looked at the average, it didn't show their impact.
Right.
So I think as I progress with further studies in this vein, I'm going to make sure that we have schools with the principals that have been there, that have had a longer tenure, to see the impact that that principal's behavior has had. I like the pencil paper format. It ensured me to have a good return rate. There had been a topic of, was there any coercion, or did people feel compelled to take it?
Right.
Because I was standing in there.
Right.
And just through my observations, and just with my demeanor, I told people, if you don't want to take it, that's fine. You don't go to the bathroom or anything like that. And I think people felt comfortable enough to step out and say, nah, I don't want to do it. But everybody chose to do it. In the future studies, I'm going to reverse the Likert scale, so it'll just be a little easier to read for us. And then we need to include a larger number of schools to make sure that the data is more significant. And that's basically it. Thank you for your time and your participation.
Oh, thank you.